Hey everyone, Hervé Francois here at DeRosa Group Acquisitions Manager. So happy for you to join me here today. So listen, I wanted to spend some time on kind of going over you a lot of the metrics, some of the stats, if you want to call tailored tape that we use when we are assessing a market. What do we look for? What are some of the stats that we look for and things like that? We don't just go anywhere. We pretty much focus on value add, classy apartment buildings in secondary markets. But even though we kind of have that as our foundation in regards to what type of properties that we look for, we still need to have a checklist, if you will, in regards to where specifically we are going to be buying, and not only where, but also what are the metrics that we are going to look for that's going to kind of designate for us, hey, this is a good market to go in, this is not such a good market to go in, this market's hot, it's medium, it's cold, whatever it might be, right? So we went ahead and put together, I'm so excited to show you a market analysis tool that we have out there. And we'll make it a little interactive, a little fun for you, kind of make a little game where basically we show you exactly the metrics that we look for in a particular market and pretty much how it scores and how some of those metrics scores on a national average, how it scores on a state average, right? Because we all know not all cities are cut the same, even in a specific state. I want to go ahead and take time to kind of share my screen with you, show you this market analysis tool, and give you a little bit of insight exactly of some of the things that we look for. This is basically our market analysis tool. And as I was saying, how we make it a little bit fun, one of the things that we do is that as you go ahead and start scoring some of these different metrics, if you will, go ahead and give yourself 10 points if the information, so-called the stats for your particular city is a little bit better than the state. Give yourself 5 points if that particular metric is performing ahead of the national average. All right, so give yourself 10 points if it's performing ahead of the state that it's located in. Give yourself 5 points if it's performing better than the overall national average. So I'm going to scroll down here. It's only a 2-page market analysis tool. These are the metrics that we use to identify that really, again, our checklist when we are identifying markets, some of the things that are really important to us. And these are free resources, emphasize the word free, that you can use at your fingertips, at your desktop, on your handheld, on your mobile, and things like that. So you can go ahead and get information on some of these different metrics. What do we have outlined here? Population growth, median income, job growth, crime, real GDP, unemployment rate, and diversity of job sectors. And what I mean by that one might be a little bit confusing, diversity of job sectors. We at DeRosa, we don't like to invest in any particular city in which its economy is driven by one or two main industries. And we identify that is we don't want any industry to represent 20% of the jobs in that specific city. So you're not going to see us, for example, invest in a city like Las Vegas, mainly because more than 20% of the jobs in Vegas obviously are hospitality, leisure, casino, and so on and so forth, right? So that's an example of a city that we're not going to invest in versus a city that we do invest in. Many of y'all know Winston-Salem, that has a nice spread of industries that drive its economy. You start talking about education, healthcare, retail, manufacturing, transportation, and so on and so forth, right? So we don't like, again, a city to have too much exposure to any one particular industry. Population growth, again, some of these sources here, population growth, you can go to worldpopulationreview.com. Again, free website, one of my favorite ones. Not only will you find population numbers and population growth on that site for that particular city, you're also going to find median income. You're going to find a lot of other good data on World Population Review also, specifically when it comes to the number of households that own a home versus renters in a particular city. You're going to see some demographics, population by age, by gender, and so on and so forth. So really, really good website there, worldpopulationreview.com. Another site, bestplaces.net. That's where you're going to find job growth for that particular city. For crime, we go to spotcrime.com. for real GDP. Right there, we go to this crime data map, and within there, explorer.app.cloud. So you're going to find some real GDP data there. You're also going to find real GDP data at bls.gov, right? Federal government website, where you can also find information on the unemployment rate. And you can, again, diversity of jobs, you're going to find at Neighborhood Scout. You can also find diversity of jobs, not only at Neighborhood Scout, but there's some other websites if you can go to, specifically if you go to that particular city's Chamber of Commerce, some of these cities' Chamber of Commerce website, they go ahead and tell you how many jobs are represented in different industries that drive the economy for that particular industry. And again, just kind of making it fun, you can print this out. And again, you can go ahead and score your city on a national basis, giving it 10 points. If it scores high on a state basis, better than the state, and 5 points if it scores better than the national average, right? And then we kind of give you a range, a guide of, hey, if it scores between these two numbers, then it either doesn't qualify as a target market. Between 41 and 70, marginal, not too bad. Between 70 to 100, a hot market, right? Now, let me put a couple of caveats for you guys out here. First of all, these are not the only sources out there on the internet. These are sources that we use a lot. If you have other go-to sources that you find information on these metrics, more importantly, it's truly the metrics that you use than necessarily the source. But if there are other sources that you use, please feel free to continue using those sources if they've been good for you. And the other thing is, don't use these metrics alone as the primary decision maker as to whether or not you want to invest in a particular city. There's going to be other information that you want to gather as well, right? Specifically, developing relationships with brokers in that city, making sure they are a good list of quality property managers in that city as well. From there, you're going to be having good conversations with those brokers, with those property managers, when you start talking about occupancy rates, cap rates, and so on and so forth, right? So listen, this is just a summary. I really implore you to go to these sources. If you haven't been using sources before, if you have, continue to use those. If you haven't, please feel free to use these. I hope you have fun with it. And listen, happy hunting. All right, folks, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at the DeRosa Group, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Have a great one, and happy hunting.